It's 3:07 in the morning. A door forced open alarm just tripped for an exterior door at a warehouse in Texas. A typhoon is turning toward an office in Manila with 400 employees. And an executive's flight is now grounded in the Middle East in relation to the ongoing conflict between Iran and the United States. One person sees all three of these at the same time, and it's not typically the chief security officer or even a security manager. It might be a 23-year-old, 8 months out of a guard post, sitting in a room most employees don't know exists. In the last video, I called the GSOC the single most accessible professional seat on the security mountain, and the room that touches every other route. Today we drill down deeper on the subject. And stick around, because at the end I'll tell you the one skill GSOC hiring managers consistently rank above experience. Most applicants never think to show it. In this video, we will be talking about a typical global security operations center in a physical security setting. We will be covering some core pillars of operations that one can expect in this environment, examples of tools utilized and what they are used for, and also touch upon a few external stakeholders that are typically impacted by the work of a GSOC. Let's begin. First, the plain English version. If a company operates in more than one location, someone has to be the company's eyes and ears around the clock. The GSOC is that function, a centralized watch floor, staffed 24/7 in shifts, that monitors everything affecting the company's people, assets, operations, and sometimes reputation. They are the team that typically activates the response when something breaks. Here's the mental model that makes everything else click. The GSOC is the company's 911 dispatch center and its newsroom, fused together. Like a dispatcher, it takes in alarms and calls and sends the right resources. Like a newsroom, it constantly scans the world asking, does this event touch us? Hold on to that model. Every pillar and every tool we're about to cover falls under one of those two halves. So let's talk about some core pillars of operations of a GSOC. Pillar 1. Alarm and camera monitoring. Door forced open in a distribution center. Panic button at a reception desk. Motion detected in a restricted room after hours. The GSOC verifies what's real, because 90-something% of alarms aren't, and dispatches guards to the ones that are. Sometimes they even call in the actual police for assistance. This is the dispatcher, half at its purest. Pillar 2. Global risk event monitoring. Weather, earthquakes, protests, transit strikes, violence near facilities. Operators scan feeds and ask one question on repeat. Does this affect our people or our sites? Most events don't. Spotting the ones that do, fast, is the craft. For more savvy operations, the GSOC might also be responsible for scanning various social media platforms for any threatening posts directed toward the company or employees. Pillar 3. Employee assistance and incident response. Remember duty of care from the last video? Whether it's an employee needing help in a foreign country or they are simply stuck in an office stairwell, it's typically the GSOC that employees are reaching out to as a first point of contact to notify of a situation and find support. At its essence, the GSOC is collecting the who, what, when, where, why of the situation, checking against established SOPs, then escalating to the right team to take action. Other times, the GSOC is simply sharing a readily available resource to help answer an inquiry, such as the company's business travel insurance handbook. In extreme cases, the GSOC is proactively gathering a few different managers into a small working group to tackle unique cases like a death of an employee. Pillar 4. Mass notifications. Sometimes the incidents that the GSOC is alerted to requires an immediate alert to the employee population for a specific city, telling them not to come into the office. Usually the tool to do this sits with the GSOC. These tools often have previously approved templates that can be minimally tweaked and rapidly sent out by the GSOC. In cases where detailed formal communications are required, an internal comms team may be the ones to prepare verbiage which the GSOC then inputs into the tool to send out. Pillar 5. Reporting and documentation. Every incident becomes a written record. What happened, who was told, what was done. Unglamorous and absolutely load-bearing. Those reports feed investigations, legal, and every decision about where security spends money next year. File that away for the end of this video. That's the work at a very high level. But when people picture a GSOC, they picture the wall of screens. So let's answer the real question: what is actually on them? Here's the toolkit, tool by tool, and why knowing these names before your interview puts you ahead of most applicants. Video management systems, the platform, pulling in hundreds or thousands of cameras across every site. Operators don't stare at all of them. They pull up the right camera when an alarm or report comes in, and scrub footage when something needs review. Some of the more popular platforms to look into are Genetec, Avigilon, and Milestone. Access control software, the system behind every badge reader. who badged in, where, when. This is where door-forced and door-held open alarms originate, and where the GSOC checks whether a 3 a.m. entry was a burglar or a jet-lagged employee. Here, you'll want to familiarize yourself with Linnell, Secure 9000, AMEG Symmetry, or Verkada. Physical Security Information Management Systems, PSIM. These are tools that combine the video management systems and access control software into a singular window. SureView, IMIX, or Everbridge's Control Center are a few. Genetec has a Security Center platform that does this also. Other popular AI-oriented platforms include Ambient AI, threat and event intelligence platforms, services that scan news, social media, and emergency feeds and flag events near your facilities. Think of them as a tripwire for Pillar 2. The platform surfaces, the operator judges. Here, familiarize yourself with Samdesk, Everbridge Visual Command Center, Factal, Data Miner, and Crisis 24 Horizon, to name a few. Mass notification systems? One console that can push a message to 10 people or 10,000 by text, call, and email at once. The alert during the hurricane telling everyone to stay home? Sent from this seat? Everbridge is a name brand in this space, but there is also Alert Media and OnSolve. And the incident or case management system, what we spoke about in Pillar 5. Every event logged, timestamped, and written up. Resolver, ServiceNow, and Noggin are a few familiar choices. If your company's security department is not that well established, there may be capturing everything in Google Forms or even in Microsoft Excel. Notice something, not one of these requires a computer science degree. Every single one is learnable software. And here's the move most applicants miss. These platforms publish training and certifications online, many free or cheap. Walking into a GSOC interview already conversant in the tool categories on this list reads as a year of experience you don't technically have. Now, the part my intro promised, what business units or departments have visibility on the GSOC's work outside of security? While the GSOC may or may not directly interact with these partners, security management often does, and are likely regurgitating information collected by the GSOC to these stakeholders when coordinating on a crisis. HR, when a serious incident involves an employee, they often have access to the private personal information of that person, such as an emergency contact or a home address. While they might not typically make operational decisions, they are typically the experts on benefits and resources the company can provide to employees under extraordinary situations. Environmental, health and safety, or EHS. If there is a workplace hazard, whether it be a food poisoning incident from cafeteria food or hazardous air quality due to a local wildfire, this team is helping guide the business on actions to take that are in line with government regulations. Facilities. Whether it's a burst pipe that's flooded a workspace or the entire building's HVAC is not running properly during a heat wave. And you'd be surprised how often it is. This team advises on the safety of an office from a structural perspective and are the folks in charge of supporting with renovations, repairs, and other general maintenance of the office. Internal communications. When the crisis is public and employees are asking for some transparency, they are typically the wordsmiths crafting the verbiage with considerations for the right tone and sensitivity toward the situation. They toe the line between communicating legalese with expert caution. Legal. If there is some sort of liability concern that needs to be addressed, this team would know how to navigate it. Administration. They might operate under different names, but this team is usually the face of workplace services. They often run the catering services, the reception team, maybe even the transportation team if the company's big enough for its own shuttle services. Committee chairs. What does this mean? For large companies, there are often different offices that have a higher population of certain business units in them. For instance, the Seattle office of a large tech company might be known as an engineering hub because of the engineering talent that typically is there. By comparison, the Los Angeles office might be the hub for a marketing team because of the proximity to Hollywood. Therefore, if something happens to those buildings, like an office closure, that whole business department is significantly impacted. Therefore, the senior most representative of those departments are often involved in a crisis management response and will often have visibility to information gathered by the GSOC. Here's why this is all important. When these forces gather together to coordinate on a crisis, each business unit has competing priorities they are concerned about. If an office needs to be shut down, there has to be a darn good argument for it. Because that means projects are disrupted, important high-profile events need to be canceled, deadlines are missed, food goes to waste, and productivity for the day that is lost can sometimes mean millions of dollars wasted. If a GSOC operator can anticipate all these concerns, you are helping your security managers articulate thoroughly why their guidance is the most advisable option. Which brings us to the promise from the top of this video. The one skill GSOC hiring managers consistently rank above experience. It's writing. Clear, fast, factual writing. Think about what this room actually produces. Alarms come in as noise. Events come in as chaos. What leaves the GSOC is written English. Incident reports, executive notifications, shift logs, mass alerts. When something serious happens, an operator has minutes to turn confusion into 3 sentences an executive can act on. And if those sentences are wrong or muddy, the response is wrong or muddy and time is wasted re-researching facts for clarity. Every stakeholder we just named experiences the GSOC through its writing. Hiring managers know this. Experience monitoring cameras is common. Applicants who can prove they write clearly under time pressure are rare. So bring a writing sample to the interview. A sanitized incident report if you have one, and if you're a student or transitioning vet, write a practice report from a news event. Facts first, plain sentences, no drama. That single artifact says GSOC ready louder than any bullet point on your resume. Security managers don't have time to read pages of information. The more concise you can be in explaining a situation and why it's a concern to the company, the more valuable you become. Students, this is why your first move isn't a certification, it's a habit. Follow world events and practice summarizing them in 5 clean lines or less. Vets, your watch floor discipline and comms procedures already fit this room. The translation layer is corporate vocabulary, and now you have it. And if you're at a guard desk, your incident reports aren't paperwork, they're your portfolio. More importantly, internalize what your manager or the client is often asking for at the onset of a new incident. Anticipate those questions and have that homework done without being asked. This is how you get noticed. That's the room. 5 pillars, a learnable toolkit, and a seat that touches every route on the mountain. Somebody is sitting in it tonight while the company sleeps, and a year from now, that somebody could be you. I'm the Security Sherpa, and this channel hands you the map nobody handed me. Next stop on the mountain gets decided by you. Drop a comment with the route you want mapped, and subscribe so you don't miss the climb. See you at the next camp.